Hey everybody, welcome into Folklore and Flourish. Today is July 16th. We're in day 2 of our 3rd week. We are in the week of chaos and cosmos with our gods and titans and our divine witness. Today is a very exciting day. It's all about the serpents for our July 16th. So today is all about the serpents and the cosmic beasts that they are. Today, as you can see, if you can see some of the sticky stuff in my hair, I have some repair cream in there. Then right after this, I'm going to go put some stuff on my face to help it. And so it's just kind of a self-care day. So I hope you get some self-care today. Enjoy these serpents. And our lesson is that fear guards treasure. So we're going to see that through Hindu, Norse, Mesoamerican, and African folklore today. And then you're going to think about the question of what ancient fear coils in me. So what ancient fear is coiled within me and is coiling within me? You're going to draw a serpent to give form to fear. We're going to trace the curve so it's become known rather than hidden to us. So draw that serpent. And the final thought that I'm going to leave you with today is to face the fear that protects your deepest strength. So you're going to face the fear that is actually protecting your deepest strength today. So enjoy these 4 stories with the serpent on July 16th, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye. Before we begin, I want to take a moment to honor the cultures behind the stories we are about to explore. The tales shared here come from many peoples, lands, and traditions. I do not change these stories to fit modern expectations or to align with today's social standards. Instead, I present them as they were told, sometimes beautiful, sometimes harsh, sometimes challenging. We are not here to judge the past, but to understand it, to listen, to learn, and to honor the ancestors who carried these stories forward. We also share stories from various religious traditions. These are presented in their historical and spiritual context, with respect for their beliefs that they represent. Every culture deserves respect, context, and acknowledgement, and this space is dedicated to doing exactly that. Story 1. Vritra, the Enveloper. Before the rivers rushed across the earth, and before the rains returned to nourish the fields, the ancient hymns of the Rig Veda remembered a time when the life-giving waters of the earth had disappeared. They had not dried away on their own, nor had they been forgotten by the heavens. They had been imprisoned. Around them coiled Vritra, the mighty serpent whose very name means the enveloper or the obstructor. Vast beyond measure, Vritra wrapped his immense body around the celestial waters, holding rivers within mountains and caves, so that they could neither flow nor cross the earth nor fall from the sky as rain. Clouds gathered but gave no water. Springs remained silent. Riverbeds lay empty beneath the sun. The world waited beneath a sky that promised life but could not deliver it. For the great serpent's coils restrained the waters upon which every living thing depended. Vritra was not remembered as a beast that hunted villages or guarded treasure. He was something older than that, a cosmic being whose strength was measured by stillness itself. Wherever he held the waters, movement ceased. The rivers could not remember their past. The rains could not complete their journey from heaven to earth. The ordered rhythm of creation remained suspended beneath his grasp. Then the gods turned to Indra, the lord of storms and thunder, to confront the serpent no other being had overcome. Before the battle, Indra drank the sacred Soma, filling himself with divine strength, while the heavenly craftsman, Vashtar, fashioned for him the Vajra, the thunderbolt whose power could shatter what no ordinary weapon could break. When Indra met Vritra, the heavens shook with thunder as storm answered the ancient stillness. At last the Vajra struck the serpent, breaking the great coils that had imprisoned the waters since the beginning. The mountains opened. The rivers burst forth from their confinement. Rain once again descended from the heavens. Streams carved their paths across the earth, and life awakened wherever the released waters flowed. The Vedic poets celebrated Indra's victory, yet they never forgot the being he had overcome. Without Vritra, there would have been no great release, no mighty rivers surging from the mountains, no storm breaking the long silence of drought. The serpent remained one of the oldest cosmic beings of the Vedic imagination, remembered not because he hoarded riches or sought dominion over kingdoms, but because he held within his coils the very waters from which the living world drew its life. Story 2, Jörmungandr, the World Serpent. Among the extraordinary children born to Loki and the giantess Angrboda was a serpent unlike any the gods had ever seen. His name was Jörmungandr, and from the moment of his birth the gods understood that he belonged to the oldest and most dangerous powers of the cosmos. Odin looked upon the serpent and cast him into the vast ocean surrounding Midgard, believing the deep waters would contain him. Instead, the sea became his home, and there Jörmungandr grew. He grew beyond islands, beyond coastlines, beyond every measure by which gods and mortals understood size. His body lengthened until it encircled the entire world, lying beneath the ocean with endless coils stretched around Midgard itself. At last he became so immense that his tail reached his own mouth, and there he remained, holding the circle of the world within his embrace. The seas rested inside the great ring, while storms, tides, and the unknowable depths belonged to the realm through which he moved unseen. Few ever looked upon him, for most of his vast body lay hidden beneath the waves. Yet the Norse remembered that every voyage across the sea passed above the place where the world serpent slept. His existence marked the outer boundary between the familiar lands of gods and humanity and the ancient forces waiting beyond. Only once before the end of the world did Jörmungandr rise high enough for the gods to behold him fully. Thor, the god of thunder, went fishing with the giant Hymir and cast into the sea the head of an ox as bait. Deep beneath the waters, Jörmungandr seized the hook, and Thor pulled with such tremendous strength that his feet broke through the bottom of the boat. Slowly the serpent rose from the depths until Thunder God and World Serpent looked into one another's eyes across the dark sea. Thor lifted Mjolnir to strike, but before the hammer could fall, Hymir, terrified by the sight before him, cut the fishing line. Jörmungandr slipped back beneath the waves, and the sea closed above him once more. Yet the ancient prophecies declared that the meeting had only been delayed. At Ragnarok, when the old world reached its final day, Jörmungandr would release his tail and leave the ocean that had contained him since the beginning. As he rose, the seas would overflow their shores, waves would swallow the land, and his venom would poison the sky itself. Then Thor would meet the world serpent one final time. The thunder god would strike Jörmungandr dead with Mjolnir. But after taking only 9 steps, Thor himself would fall, overcome by the serpent's deadly poison. Neither would survive the battle, for the oldest prophecies did not possess victory without sacrifice. When the world serpent finally loosened his endless coil, it was not merely the death of a great creature that followed. The circle that had long held the seas in place was broken, and the world itself passed into its final destruction before a new earth rose from the waters once again. Story 3, Cipactli, the earth before the earth. Before the mountains rose above the horizon, before forests covered the valleys, and before the first people walked beneath the 5th sun, there was only the endless primordial sea. Floating upon those ancient waters was Cipactli, a colossal being unlike any creature that would exist in the world to come. The Meshika remembered Cipactli as a monstrous earth creature bearing features of crocodile, fish, toad, and great sea beast all at once, with mouths covering her body so that she hungered from every direction. Every joint possessed jaws, every opening longed to consume, and nothing that approached her could be certain of escaping her endless appetite. She drifted alone upon the waters where the earth itself had taken form, vast enough for no land yet existed beyond her body. Then the creator gods, Quetzalcoatl and Tezcatlipoca, looked upon the formless waters and determined that the worlds of gods, people, plants, and animals could not come into being while everything remained beneath the sea. To create the earth, they first had to confront the ancient being who alone occupied the waters of creation. Tezcatlipoca offered his own foot as bait, drawing Cipactli toward him. The great creature lunged, biting off the god's foot, but in that moment the 2 created gods seized her and struggled against her immense strength. Together, they overcame the primordial being and stretched her vast body across the waters. From her back arose the mountains and hills. From her skin came the plains and valleys. Her hair became grasses, flowers, and forests, while springs and rivers flowed from her eyes. Her mouth became caves and deep places within the earth, and from the countless joints and limbs of her body came the varied landscapes upon which the living world would one day flourish. Yet Cipactli did not simply die and vanish into creation. The earth remained alive because it was her body. The Meshika believed that she continued to hunger beneath the world, and because land itself had been formed from a living being who had sacrificed her body for creation, she conquered nourishment in return. Human offerings given to the gods also fed the earth, sustaining the balance between the living world above and the primordial power beneath it. Every mountain stood upon Cipactli. Every field where maize grew rested upon her body. Every cave opened in the ancient being from whom the land itself had been fashioned. Long after the seas had been separated from the continent and the fifth sun shone above the heavens, the Meshikad remembered that the earth beneath every step was not lifeless stone. It was the body of the first great creature, stretched across the waters at the beginning of time, still sustaining the world that had been made from her. Story 4. Aido Hwedo, the serpent who carries the world. Before the hills rose above the forests and before rivers found their winding courses to the sea, the Creator, Mawu Lisa, began the work of shaping the earth. Mountains were lifted into place, valleys were carved, rivers were guided across the land, and forests spread where life would one day flourish. Yet as creation continued, the world grew heavier with every mountain, every tree, every creature, and every stone that came into being. The weight of the earth became so great that it could no longer support itself. Then there appeared Aido Hwedo, the great rainbow serpent whose immense body was strong enough to bear what the newly formed world could not. Patiently the serpent slipped beneath the earth, coiling through its depths until the whole of creation rested upon its back. As Aido Hwedo moved beneath the land, the coils of the great serpent shaped the mountains and valleys above. Where the serpent curved, the earth rose into hills. Where the body stretched long beneath the ground, broad plains appeared. Thus, the land itself came to follow the hidden path of the serpent, supporting it from below. Mawulisa continued the work of creation, while Aido Hwedo carried the growing weight without complaint, traveling wherever the Creator directed. When the shaping of the earth was finished, the great serpent descended into the waters beneath the world, where Aido Hwedo remained to this day, supporting creation upon endless coils. Yet even so mighty a being must be sustained. The serpent's food could not be found among the plants or animals of the earth, for ordinary things were too weak to nourish one who bore the world itself. Instead, Aido Hwedo was said to feed upon bars of iron prepared by red monkeys dwelling in the mysterious realm beneath creation. There, the serpent rested in cool waters far below the land of humankind, continuing the task first given at the beginning of the world. The traditions also remembered that the balance of creation depended upon the serpent's strength. Should Aido Hwedo ever shift too violently beneath the earth, the land above would tremble. Should the serpent ever lose the power to bear the world's weight, creation itself would no longer remain secure. Thus, the rainbow, seen stretching across the sky, became a sign of the great serpent whose presence joined heaven, earth, and the hidden waters below. It was not merely a beautiful arc after the rain, but a reminder that beneath every mountain, every village, every forest, and every road rested an ancient being whose patient strength upheld the living world. Long after the first shaping of the earth had been completed, Aido Hwedo continued the same quiet labor begun at creation, unseen by human eyes, yet carrying the weight of every generation that walked upon the land above. Daily Thread for July 16th. Long before dragons guarded castles and later legends, the oldest civilizations looked upon the serpent and saw something far greater. Today's stories carried us to the edges of creation itself, where enormous serpents and primordial beings did not simply inhabit the world, but helped define its shape. In the ancient hymns of India, Vritra coiled around the celestial waters, holding back the rivers and rains until the heavens themselves broke his ancient grip. The Norse remembered Jörmungandr, the world serpent, lying unseen beneath the seas with his endless body encircling Midgard, forming a living boundary around the realm of humankind until the final day of Ragnarok. The Meshika looked upon the earth beneath their feet and remembered Cipactli, the great primordial being whose body became mountains, valleys, forests, rivers, and caves, leaving the land itself forever alive with the memory of its first form. And among the fawn people of Benin, Aido Hwedo carried the completed world upon endless coils beneath the earth, supporting creation with quiet strength while the rainbow arched across the sky as a reminder of the great serpent resting below. Though these beings belonged to different continents and traditions, none were ordinary animals made larger by imagination. They existed where the boundaries between creature, landscape, and cosmos disappeared. They held back rivers, circled oceans, became the earth itself, and carried creation through ages beyond human memory. They remind us that the oldest storytellers often looked upon nature with profound wonder, seeing the winding path of a river, the curve of a mountain range, the horizon where the sea met sky, or the rainbow after a storm, and imagining something vast still moving beneath the surface of the world. The serpent became one of humanity's oldest symbols, not because it inspired fear alone, but because its winding body resembled the rivers that nourish civilizations, the unseen powers beneath the earth, and the mysterious forces that seem to move through creation long before people understood them. As tonight's fires settle into glowing embers, consider this. What unseen foundations quietly sustain the world around me? What ancient currents continue flowing beneath the surface of my own life, carrying memories, traditions, relationships, and hopes that I rarely stop to notice? The oldest serpents remind us that not every great power stands where everyone can see it. Some of the strongest forces are the ones that move silently beneath the world, holding together far more than we realize.